Okay, so if for those of you join again after let's just summarize. So we are doing the five principles. We're in chapter three, the five principles that you need in order to get to a place where you have complete bitachon, complete reliance on Hashem. The first is to recognize that it's only Hashem which possesses all the necessary qualities for it to even make sense to rely on somebody. Hashem possesses them all. Other people cannot because we are limited. The second one, which we mentioned yesterday as well, is that it's easy to pay lip service and say you are relying on Hashem, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what's in your heart. He knows whether you are truly relying on Him or you're just saying, "Hey, I'm somebody who has a lot of bitachon," right? So, yeah, Hashem is aware of that. And so, in order to have complete bitachon, you have to actually really do have complete bitachon. You can't just say you're somebody who is a Baal bitachon, but normally, and we find this a lot of times that by saying something and at least by saying something to yourself, it helps your mindset and can sometimes get you to a place where it's actually changing you. But just just saying you have bitachon doesn't necessarily mean you have bitachon. Okay, now the third principle, which we'll start today, akdama hashlishi, is the third principle to have full bitachon in Hashem is shiyachid elokav bebitchono bo b'mashu chayav l'bitoch lo. One should place his trust exclusively Hashem. Exclusively with Hashem in any area where he's obligated to trust him. V'ayishtatev zula so imo. He should not make another being a partner with Hashem. V'yiftach alav V'alechav me'aburim, placing trust in Hashem and in somebody else, in one of his creations. V'fasid bitzchono be'elokav b'ishtatev zulaso imo. For his trust in God will be undermined by making someone else a partner with him. So the article has a great footnote here. It sounds very dramatic. It says Chovos Levavos does not mean to negate enlisting other people in one's efforts to obtain his needs. It doesn't mean you can't ask somebody for help. In chapter 4, we'll get to, hopefully soon, he explains that one should go about obtaining his needs in a normal way of the world, for which includes, for example, if you're sick, go to the doctor. And if you need a job, you can ask somebody for help. But what he means here is that you must never rely, even partially, on the other person as though his well-being or success truly depends on the other person. Right? After making the appropriate efforts, doing the proper hishtadlus, you have to remember that your physical recovery or your employment is completely up to Hashem, and nothing you do um, will make a difference unless Hashem has decreed that you should indeed become healthy or you should indeed find a job. So that's an important footnote there. But he says that to have these principles that you have to rely exclusively on Hashem and not to rely on someone else, right? Ukvar yadati mashnemar be'asa im chasidu. So it's said about King Asa that despite all his piety, Eitz shesamach al rofim, there was a time that he was sick and he relied on doctors to heal him. Tichsiv v'gam b'choyav lo derash Hashem ki perofav v'na'nesh shenazeh, and he was punished for this. Ve'amar kasav bracha gever shev Hashem. So what's he talking about with Asa? So read this footnote here too. Um, King Asa of Judah was a very righteous person who rigorously rid the nation of idolatry, renewed the people's commitment to Hashem. At one point, he was dreadfully outnumbered by a big army from Cush, and he declared complete bitachon Hashem and won the war. But what happened later is that he actually fell short of his bitachon, that he became dangerously ill in his legs, and he sought out doctors, but didn't seek out Hashem. He didn't go to the Navi to ask for what sin he was being punished. Um, and so Asa, he was a extremely pious person, and he of course davened to Hashem during his illness. Nevertheless, he did not rely exclusively on Hashem. The fact that he neglected to ask a Navi for the spiritual source for his illness, and thus failed to use all the means available for him to apply for Hashem's help, indicates that he went to doctors. That when he went to doctors, he relied on their medical expertise to a certain extent. Because of this partial reliance, he was punished or remained a cripple until his death. So this is a tough thing. What does it mean to not rely on anyone else, but at the same time find ishtadlus? That's a topic we'll continue to cover. But we can see it's a little bit complicated. Everyone have a great rest of the day.
Yeah.